What's up YouTube? This is Dennis Panuta for tutorials.eu. In this video, you are going to learn how to use Visual Studio with shortcuts and how to make your life significantly easier when coding in Visual Studio. So let's get started. In this part of the video, I would like to cover deletion of code. And usually what you would do is you would probably press the backspace key to delete a line of code. Or if you're at the beginning of a word or at the beginning of your code, you would press the delete key and then delete it from the start point. But as you can see, it takes quite a while to delete if you have a lot to delete. Now, if you want to improve the speed here and delete faster, then you can press the control key while pressing the delete key, and you will delete whole words. So it will basically just delete the next word and you will get rid of it. As you will see here, it will delete the comma and the empty space, but nothing else. And here it really just deletes the character and an empty space when pressing this key. Now this also works if you are using the backspace key. So here you can press the control key and the backspace key at the same time, and this will delete one word at a time instead of one character at a time. Now you could, of course, if you wanted to delete a specific line, use Control Cut or Control X. This will then automatically cut out this line, but then you have it in your memory, right? In your clipboard. You can also use Control L to cut the current line, or even Control Shift L, and this will also cut the current line. But it will not only cut it, but also delete it. Okay, so that's going to be the difference. One is actually just cutting and putting it into your clipboard. The other one is deleting the line altogether. So save yourself some time when getting rid of code and press the control key while deleting or while pressing the backspace key. When programming, at one point you will have a bunch of different classes and a lot of code when you're building a bigger software. And if that happens, then sometimes you just need to search for something. Now you could of course try to find the file by scrolling through it and all of that, but I'm just going to press Ctrl F to open up this quick find functionality in Visual Studio. Now here I can of course search for whatever I want, let's say the test property. Okay, this will now show me all the highlights, all the versions of the test property inside of my particular file. But what if I want to search through my whole project? Well, then I can press Ctrl Shift F. This will then open up this find and replace window to look in my entire solution. So if I now search for test prop, then it will find all of the different iterations and I can look through them. So for example, in my class.cs, I have this test prop, but I also have it in program.cs. Okay, and if I hover over it, you can see it's moving between the different tabs, and on the left-hand side, it shows me directly where they are. Now let's say I want to replace the test property. Well, then I can press Ctrl Shift and H. This will open up the find and replace, so it will directly go to the replace tab within those two, as you can see here, find in files as well as replace in files. And here I can say what I want to replace. So test prop, I press the tab key and then I go to the replace part of this replace in files. And here I can rename it and call it my prop. Once you entered what you want to replace, you can go through the elements step by step. So here, pressing F3, I can go through the different occurrences. As you can see, all the 3 occurrences, I can go through them by pressing F3 one by one. If I want to go to the previous result, I can just press Shift F3. This will send me to the previous result. So F3 for the next and Shift F3 for the previous result. Now opening this find and replace, I can press Alt R to replace the next result, or Alt A to replace all results. So here, for example, if I want to replace hello, and I can now search through hello by using F3, and I can also replace this with whatever keyword I want to replace it with, just entering it here and then pressing Alt A to replace all of them, or Alt R to replace the next item. If I now want to search for a word as a whole, I can press Alt W and you will see that it will mark the match whole word. While match whole word is active, this will search for right line, as you can see here, even though we just search for right specifically. Now, if I want to search for a specific case, what I can do is I can, for example, enter right, and you will see if you press F3, it will still find it, right? But now if I search for right with the particular case, I can just press Alt C, and you can also see here that the C is underlined, so you can just press Alt and then C in order to activate it. Let me do that real quick. Alt C, you can see then this is then active. And if I search for right with that particular case, meaning the W is not capitalized, and now I search for it, you will see the following specified text was not found. Okay, so this is how you can also find out which shortcuts will be the right ones. So here, pressing the Alt key, you can see that some characters are underlined. So for example, Alt E will activate regular expression. Alt X will include external items. Alt O will include miscellaneous files. And that is something that you can activate or deactivate by pressing the Alt key plus the individual character here. Hereby you have to consider, however, that you have to be in this particular window, otherwise those shortcuts might not work. Okay, so this match whole or this match case might not work if you're outside of this find and replace. So Alt C will not work, for example, because you don't have this particular view open. Thanks a lot for still being with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, then please leave a like and hit that subscribe button, because we're uploading videos like this regularly. As well as if you have any questions or comments, then leave a comment down below. And also, this is really just a part of my complete course. So I created a complete course on productivity and how to become twice as fast when coding in Visual Studio. So definitely check that one out. I'll leave a link in the description below. You'll get a huge discount to get the course. And I assure you, this will make you a significantly more productive C# developer in Visual Studio. And if somebody comes along and sees how you're coding and using all of the shortcuts and the code snippets and all of that, they will think that you're a complete master of the keyboard as well as of Visual Studio and coding. So they will look at you like you're Neo from the Matrix, going crazy on your keyboard. All right, I hope to see you in the course. Link is down in the description below. Enjoy the rest of the video. In this video, I would like to quickly show you how you can apply letter control in Visual Studio. And you can simply use CTRL Shift U to change if a character is capitalized or not. So here, for example, if I want to use uppercase, I can simply use CTRL Shift U and my T will be capitalized. The same goes for the next letter and so forth. Now, if I want to do the opposite, I can just press CTRL U and it will use lowercase for the next upcoming character. So again, CTRL Shift U to create an uppercase character and CTRL U for a lowercase character. So the next one is a very, very useful tool. Let's say you're programming inside of this myclass.cs file. So you are going ahead and then you're initializing something in the, for example, property here. So let's assign a value like this. And now at one point you go over to your other file and then you create an object of my class. So here my class is my class whatever, and this will be a new my class object, like something uneventful. But now I would like to jump back to my other file because I would like to make changes. Now, of course, you can use your mouse to go over to this other class, but what you can alternatively do is you can use the go back markers. So you can just press Ctrl- and it will jump back where you were before. Or you press Ctrl-Shift- and you jump forward, so to speak. So Ctrl- to go back and Ctrl-Shift- to go forward. And this is very, very useful when you're jumping between different files or even between different methods. So you don't need to scroll and search for the other method that you were working on just a couple of seconds ago, but you can just press Control minus or Control Shift minus. So in this video, I would like to talk about how to memorize all of those shortcuts and all of those shortcut keys, as well as snippets and all of that. Well, the thing is, you will get used to them after using them after a while. So it's not something that you have to write down next to you on a piece of paper to then reuse. This is of course something that you could do if that is the type of approach that you prefer. But otherwise, what I would recommend is that you try to implement one of the features at a time, getting used to that, and then doing the next one. Or each time that you do something where you know that there is a shortcut that will do the same thing faster, then you consciously think about how could you do that with the shortcut that you saw or that you learned. And otherwise, what you can of course do is each time that you create a process or do something that takes you a long time to use your mouse to get to the point where you want to click on something, look into creating an extra shortcut that will do that thing within half a second instead of 5 seconds that will take you to navigate your mouse to that point. And how to memorize? Well, just use your keyboard. Just use both hands on your keyboard and force yourself to only use the keyboard for half a day or so, maybe just an hour. Start with an hour and see how far you get. If you manage to leave out your mouse for an hour, you can probably also do a whole day. And then you can basically become a power user just using the keyboard. Even though, of course, there are applications where it makes sense to still use the mouse. Sometimes you will need it, but overall, you can probably skip your mouse 90% of the times where you are actually using it right now and become a better programmer and a faster programmer along the way. So these are some little tips that I can give you. And now let's get to the next video. When it comes to navigating through Visual Studio, there are different ways to do it. And one of them is, of course, to use the mouse. And the mouse is a very powerful tool, but it just slows you down a little bit. I use the mouse a lot also during my courses so that I can demonstrate where I am and what I'm doing. If I would use shortcuts all the time in my courses and my videos, it would be significantly more difficult for my students to follow along. That's why you will not see me use my keyboard as often. But in this course, we're going to use the keyboard a lot. And the keyboard is just so fast if you know the shortcuts, and you can reach almost every part of your code and of your solution using the keyboard, and you won't always need the mouse. So in many cases, you can just go ahead and leave your mouse where it is and focus on the keyboard. And that's what we are going to learn in this chapter by learning how to navigate using the keyboard. All right, so let's get started. Let's get started with scrolling. Scrolling is something that you can do with your mouse, of course, by using the scroll wheel, as you can see here. But let's have a look at how to do it without a mouse. So of course you can press your arrow keys to go down in your text. But then what if you want to go to the beginning of a specific line? Well, then you can use the home button, and you can see it will go directly to the beginning of the line, at least from the coding perspective. Now you can press it again, as you can see, then it goes to the actual beginning of the line. It really depends on where you are right now. So let's say I'm here and I want to go to the end of the line, then I would press the end key. And you can find those keys on your keyboard on top of your arrow keys. All right, so end key, you can see I go to the end of the line. Home key, I go to the beginning of the code, so to speak. And once again, then I go to the very beginning of the line. Now, what if you want to go to the beginning of the whole file? Well, then you can press Control and then use your home key. And this will send you directly to the very beginning of your file. Pressing the Control key and the End key will send you to the end of the file. While you're inside of specific code, let's say you are inside of this code here, and you want to move towards the right. You can do so manually with one individual character at a time, but you can also go word by word by pressing the Control key. So pressing Control back will jump you word by word. This doesn't really help with parentheses, but it really helps when you want to go from word to word, but it's significantly faster than pressing the arrow key individually, as you can see here. If you want to add a line underneath where you currently are, so for example, I'm inside of this console right line and I would like to add a new line underneath and jump to it without breaking the code of this particular line, I can just press the Ctrl and Shift key and press Enter, and I will directly jump to the next line and create a new line break. Let's say you want to select a specific code. You can do so by holding the Shift key and then using the arrow keys in order to mark a certain word or a certain code part. But if you want to do it faster, well, then you can press Ctrl and Shift and you can select complete words or unselect them by pressing the left key while holding the Ctrl and Shift key. And you can also select the current word by pressing Ctrl W. So let me go to right line and then press Ctrl W, and you can see that right line is now highlighted and selected. So when you want to scroll through text, you can of course use your mouse to scroll through text. You can use your home key to go to the beginning of the line, Control Home to go to the beginning of the file, Control End to go to the end of the file, as well as End to go to the end of the current line. And then when you want to move faster through your code, you can just press the Control key while using your arrow keys towards the left or the right. If you want to select a certain part of your code, just use Control and Shift, and then you can select complete words instead of just individual letters, or Shift and then individual letters. And you can unselect them by pressing the left key, select them by pressing the right, and you can select complete lines by holding the Shift key and pressing down. This will then allow you to select bigger parts of the code and unselect them by holding Shift and pressing up. If you want to quickly create a new line underneath the code that you're at, then just press the Control Shift and Enter key, and you will directly jump to the next line, creating a new line without creating a line break at whatever part of the code you are. So let's say here I'm in right line and I'm clicking the Control Shift Enter key, I go to the next line and create a new line. Okay, that was the summary of what you learned in this video. Now I would really recommend that you try these things yourself. Just make them your second nature by applying them again and again. Just put away your mouse, just take it and put it outside of your screen or towards the edge of your screen so that you don't see it, and try to only use your keyboard for once when developing, and try to really get through everything that you need using your keyboard only. All right, in this one, I want to show you how you can copy a line, and therefore you can of course try to first of all mark it and then copy it and paste it, for example. But what you can also do is you can not mark it. You just need to put your cursor at the point where the line is that you want to copy, and then you just press Ctrl Z and Ctrl V. As you can see here, you can now basically just duplicate a line of code, or you can just copy the line of code and put it somewhere else. Or with Ctrl D, you can actually duplicate it. So press Ctrl D to duplicate a certain line. Let me go here and press Ctrl D. You can see this is how you can duplicate a line. And in order to undo an action, just press Ctrl Z. And if you want to redo an action, just press Ctrl Y. Okay, so these are the different options that you have. Of course, this also works with Ctrl X, which means you can cut out a line that you have added. So you can see, copy with Ctrl C, cut with Ctrl X, paste with Ctrl V, undo with Ctrl Z, redo with Ctrl Y, and you can do that at any point in the line where your cursor is without having to actually select it. And if you want to duplicate the line, just press Ctrl D while your cursor is in the line that you want to duplicate. In this video, you will learn a neat little trick that allows you to work with your clipboard. The clipboard is basically where your elements are put when you cut or copy something. So let me show you that in this particular example. So I have these two lines, console right line with hello world and console right line with hello student. Now let me copy this one first, so line 9, and then copy line 10 once again. And let me also copy line 7 while I'm at it. Now, which one will be the one that I can paste? Let me press Ctrl V and you will see that the last one that I copied is going to be in there. Let me undo that with CTRL Z. And now what I can also do is I can press CTRL Shift and V, and then my clipboard opens up. So this is the clipboard where I can see the different copies or cuts that I did since working with the program. In this case, I can see 9 copies that I did, and I can just select which one I want to paste now. So let's say I want to paste the hello student, and as you can see, it pastes the hello student. If I press CTRL Shift V again, you can see I can select the other ones as well. So let's say I want to paste the hello world here, and it's going to work perfectly. As you can see now, I have this hello world in line 11. And that is basically how you can use the clipboard. It's a very powerful tool, especially if you have copied something and you accidentally lost the second thing that you copied and you don't want to search for it again. Well, there you are. You have it in your clipboard and you can use it anytime by using CTRL, Shift, and V. In this video, I would like to show you how to use bookmarks. And bookmarks are a very useful tool to bookmark a specific part of your code where you want to come back to later on, but you don't want to have to create an extra to-do here, for example, but you just want to keep it simple and add an extra queue, which is going to be a bookmark. So in order to create a bookmark, let's say I want to create a bookmark here so that I need to change the value later on, for example, then I can press CTRL K and CTRL K once again. This will now create this little bookmark here for me on the left hand side. And I can create another bookmark, let's say here with CTRL K and CTRL K once again. So once you press CTRL K, Visual Studio will wait for a second for you to give it another command. So it's like a two-step command. First you press CTRL K, so it knows you want to do something with bookmarks, and then you need to press CTRL whatever to do the next thing with the bookmarks. So if I want to go to the next bookmark, I can press CTRL K and CTRL N. This will jump me to the next bookmark. If I want to go back, so to the previous bookmark, I can press CTRL K and then CTRL P. This will send me to the previous bookmark. Here in this case, it's quite easy, but let's say I had another document that I want to move over to. So let's say I want to go to my class. Now I can click on it as well, but I can also press CTRL Tab. And then, well, here you can see that I will see the different files. So let me go to my class, and here I'm going to create a new bookmark. Now let me jump to the previous bookmark by pressing CTRL K and CTRL P, and I'll be back in my other file, and I can check out my bookmark here. If I want to delete all of my bookmarks, I can press CTRL K and CTRL L, and then it will prompt me whether I really want to delete all of my bookmarks. I'm just going to say yes, and now all of my bookmarks are gone. Now you can also see that here at the top you have this little bookmark tab, and toggle a bookmark on the current line. That's exactly what we're doing with CTRL K and CTRL K once again. Now if you want your bookmark to cover the whole line, what you can go to is to Tools, and here to Options, then to Text Editor, and here Text Editor General, and then uncheck this indicator margin. And you can see this is how it's going to look then. Now if you want to change the colors, you can also go to Tools, Options, and here you select Environment, Fonts and Colors. Here, Environment, Fonts and Colors. And here you can change the bookmark colors to whatever you want. So here, this is the default color. Now if I wanted to make it green, then that's how it would look like. If you want to have an overview of your bookmarks, you can press CTRL K and CTRL W. This will then open up all of your bookmarks. So in my case, I only have one bookmark, but let's say I want to move over to my other tab, to my classes tab, and then I can create a new bookmark here. So CTRL K, and you will see my bookmarks will appear here on the right hand side. And of course, if you have your bookmarks at the bottom, then it will be at the bottom. So it really depends on how you have your windows set up. Comments are one of the most important features of programming because they improve the visibility and readability of the code. And now you can of course go ahead and add a line of code by using the / here, but there is an even better way. And how to do that is by simply pressing CTRL K and CTRL C. This will comment the complete line. And CTRL K and CTRL C once again to comment even more. But in order to get rid of the comments, you can press CTRL K and CTRL U. This will reduce the amount of comments by 1. So if you comment it twice, then you will need to uncomment twice. Now this here is still a bookmark that we had from before. Now you might recall how to get rid of bookmarks, pressing CTRL K and CTRL K. If you want to comment out multiple lines of code, you can simply mark them and then press the CTRL K as well as the CTRL C. And this way multiple lines will be commented out at the same time. And then CTRL K and CTRL U to uncomment them again. When writing bigger programs and working on bigger projects, it can happen that things become a little overwhelming and difficult to read because there's just too much going on the screen. And if you want to reduce that, what you can do is you can simply press CTRL M and CTRL M again to use outlining. So in this case, I collapsed the entry of that function, the code block of that function, so to speak. If I do that again, you can see that I can expand it. Now, if I'm at the level of the class and I press CTRL M and CTRL M again, then it will collapse the complete class. Now, if I do that on the my class level, which is the outer class, so to speak, CTRL M and CTRL M, you can see that it will collapse that class. And if I do it on the namespace level, then it will collapse the complete namespace. Now, if you want to expand all of them, what you can do is you can press CTRL M and CTRL L. And this will then expand all of your definitions and all of your classes and methods. If you want to collapse everything down to the definitions, you can press CTRL M and CTRL O, and all of your functions will be reduced to their definitions. Now, in this case, if I want to see this function, I can press CTRL M again, or if I want to know more about function 2, CTRL M and CTRL M once again. This will help you to get a better overview of your code and to reduce the lines of code that you can see so that you can really focus on what you are currently working on rather than seeing everything, even though you might not need everything or you might not need to see everything at that time. All right, now let's look at the layout a little bit, because we have a bunch of options to play around inside of our program as we have seen before. But now let's actually see how we can move from one tab to another, how we can move to the Solution Explorer, how we can select files, close files, and so forth. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is I want to press Control Alt down. What that will do is that will open up this little window or this little selection here at the top right hand corner where I can now select a specific file. So I can go, for example, to best in class, or I can go to my class, and that's totally valid. All right, that's one way of doing it. Alternatively, you can press Control Tab. This will show you the active files, and then you can move from one file to another. You can also press the Control Tab key and keep Control pressed, and in the meantime you can press up and down or left and right to select the right option for you. Alternatively, you can press Control Shift Tab to go to the previous file, Control Tab to the next one, as you can see here. Once you release the Control key, you will go to that file. You can also move between files, at least the ones that are open. So between the different tabs that you have, in my case I have 6 tabs, I can move from one to another by pressing the Control and F6 key at the same time. So you can see this way I can move between them, or Control Shift F6, and this way I can move forward, and with Control F6 I move backward. Now you can see that I have a couple of windows or views open. I have the toolbox, I have the output, I have the solution explorer here at the top, and I can move between them by using the Alt F6 key. So you can see here, I can move from toolbox to output to solution explorer and diagnostics tools, and all of that by pressing Alt F6 or Alt Shift F6 to have the opposite order. If you are working on a bigger project, then you might have a bunch of different files open. This might kill your complete workflow. If you want to close your current file, you can simply press Ctrl F4 and the current file will be closed. If you want to close all of them, you can press Alt WL and that will close all of your files. Now, if you want to open up a file again, you can press Ctrl, and then select what you are searching for. So in my case, I could be searching for my class.cs. I select it and you can see it's opened up and I'm back in my class and I can move on coding. But when using Ctrl F4 and Alt F6 and all of that, be careful that you don't press Alt F4 because that will then close your Visual Studio altogether. Oh, you're still here. Alright, so I guess you liked the video. Thank you very much for still being with me. Definitely hit that like button as well as the subscribe button. And if you want to become a complete master of Visual Studio and C#, definitely check out the link in the description below where you get the full course. This was really just the first half hour of the whole course. So, hope to see you in the course. Have a nice day.